States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting is now in session.
Thank you all for coming to the open session board meeting. First up, our announcements. I have three. Wanted to provide a clarification on the AACC event from the last board meeting. The board did not cancel the event. The board did not subsidize part of the funding. So the event's still going on. I don't have the date off the top of my head, but I know Cindy does, and I'm sure it's on the website and posted out with flyers. So the jazz or music under the stars is still an event that's happening. And then the second announcement is the bistro is open. So it's been open for a week. They started deliveries. They have a new delivery vehicle outside. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that it is quite nice. So that's exciting. And last one is my normal, just please slow down. It's 30 miles per hour on the circle, 25 on the side streets, and 15 in the lodge parking lot. Next up is homeowner input. As a reminder, it's limited to 3 minutes per homeowner, and only one request to speak form may be submitted per homeowner. There will be no sharing or passing of time to another person. Homeowner input may be held for a maximum period of 30 minutes before the board meeting begins to allow the board to proceed to the business portion of the meeting. This portion of the meeting is limited to board participation only. Residents are welcome and encouraged to stay for the full meeting to witness the business of the corporation taking place by our governing agents. Also, when questions are asked, I know that the board legally is not allowed to get into a back and forth or answer a lot of questions, but when questions are asked, I do answer those questions back with the homeowner within the next week. So I did want to clarify that. And so our first speaker is Gracie Luna.
I know I only have 3 seconds, right? 3 minutes. Okay. We need a viable guest policy here at Four Seasons, one that is reflective on the kind of community we live in. I am ashamed for the first time living in a community that showed such disrespect towards individuals getting up to speak, shouting them down over something that could easily be solved with the correct information being disseminated to our residents here at Four Seasons, and not the incorrect information and rumors on Nextdoor, which has pitted neighbor against neighbor. For the last 10 years that I've lived here, the clubs and groups have governed themselves, and it has worked. We should have the opportunity to have 2 guests per household, but actually, no change is needed. Impending a no-guest policy is divisive and unfair to clubs and groups who enjoy playing with others, and discriminatory towards those individuals who are single in our community. Guests are not the ones destroying our pillows, using all the toilet paper, or leaving trash in the parking lots. I see our residents doing this and much more. The small number of guests coming into our community are not here to abuse what we pay for with our very nominal HOA fees. If you have more guests than residents participating in our clubs or groups, and those guests are taking a spot where a resident could play, then your club and group leader should tell them that our residents come first. Easy, self-governing. One solution does not fit all the clubs and groups, and this is where self-governing has been working for the past 10 years. If the board would make a maximum of 2 per household, then let the clubs and groups decide what works for them. Easy, again, self-governing. I would like to point out those clubs and groups that would be seriously affected by the 0 guest policy. Domino's Billiards, African American Culture Club, Wild Punch Billiards, 8-Ball Club, Bid Whist Uptown Divas, Tennis, Advanced Ping Pong, Pickleball, Heart and Soul Dance, Let's Dance Ballroom Dance, Wine Club, Crafty Card Makers, Poker, Amphitheater Production Group, Believe Women's Bible Study, even though they have moved some of their guests to Eileen's house due to the perceived harassment. Tails and Trails want to be able to have outside guest speakers. Won't happen if there's a 0 guest policy. These are the main groups affected. However, others, including the Rainbow Club, would still like that option of being able to have guests. In closing, I would hope the board is not that arrogant that they would destroy the happiness that we have had here at Four Seasons since I've been living here.
just beat me. I'm here to say the same thing. I love this community. I love our people. I love the way we meet in the hall and hug each other and greet each other. This is my home and I want it nice as everybody else. And all of us, or most of us, do a great job of doing that. There are a few people, I don't care where you go, that will not follow the rules. Those are the ones that should be punished, not the people that are here. They're loving their community. We're enjoying each other. It's a shame. I'm really disappointed. If you go out of this room or when we don't have a board meeting and you see us together, we're loving, we love each other, we hug each other, we come to each other's things. If there's emergency, we're all there for you. If someone is sick, we try to get behind you. That's the community we have, not the community that's being displayed at these board meetings. I'm going to make a suggestion to the board. You are responsible for these meetings, and you're controlling the meetings. When somebody is not civil, you have a right to stand up and say, if you cannot be civil, you will have to leave. And I think you have all the right. And we will all respect you for doing that. So I'm one of the ones that want more than one guest policy. I think our guest policy is great as it is. I don't think our guests are tearing anything up. But thank you for allowing me to say that. And also, I will allow you to say whatever you need to say. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Beaumont Walker.
I'm Vivian Walker, and I live at 402 Saddle Rock, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this morning. I'm speaking in behalf of the Pickleball group, and I don't know if people are aware that pickleball is one of the fastest growing new sports in the United States. Pickleball was added to the K-Hop advertising out of Potrero because evidently somebody felt that it was a good marketing tool, and it definitely is. You know, I had not even heard of pickleball before I came to live at Four Seasons. But I was introduced to pickleball here, and the dedicated volunteers of the pickleball group, they have instructors, and they taught me how to play pickleball. No money, nothing, just through the kindness and the dedication of their hearts. But most recently, something happened. We had a tournament, and Lorraine Dupree she put in countless hours to coordinate a very great tournament, which was held in June. Because of Lynn Ray, it was probably one of the most organized and fun events at Four Seasons. I know it was. I worked as a player registration person for that tournament. We received many compliments from the participants who came here to Four Seasons. Comments such as, wow, this is the most organized tournament I've ever played in. Your community is beautiful. This is the nicest setting I've ever played pickleball in. And where can I find the model homes? These comments from folks who play in the best tournaments in our area. I recently met a new resident here just the other day. After playing in your tournament, she said, I knew I had to move here. And she did. For the tournament, we had all guests and players sign waivers and receive ID bands before entering the lodge and before entering the pickleball area. And this was done by all pickleball volunteers. We didn't impact the staff at the lodge. We had everybody stationed out there, and we were coordinating it all ourselves. Our pickleball activities are done with zero impact to Four Seasons. We do it ourselves. We pay for it ourselves. Not all 55 plus communities have the tournament level players or great facilities like Four Seasons. We are very fortunate that we do. The pickleball group as a whole is a respectful and dedicated group, and we love this fun sport, and we love sharing it with others. Our tournaments provide a great avenue for our players to play against good players from other groups. Not to mention showcasing and providing great PR for Four Seasons. Both Lynn Dupree and Nancy Barnaby are great motivators for our group. I want to call a big shout out for them right now. instrumental in making Pickleball Group one of the best and largest groups here at Four Seasons. And their efforts should not go unrecognized, and we are greatly appreciative of everything they do. And it is their goal to keep pickleball present and keep it in the future. And we would just like to tell everybody that we are a very respectful group, and we do want to work with the board to make sure that all of our activities benefit us at Four Seasons. Thank you.
Next speaker is Sharon Hay. Sharon Hay.
Hi, I'm Sharon Haig. I live on Whitney Peak. I've been here 3 years. When I came to this community, our friends brought us over here, and I just loved it to come into 55 plus and have all the amenities that we have. And when I saw this ballroom and the our amphitheater, I have one son, no other children, my only son, who gave me one granddaughter. And I thought then, wow, to have that wedding in the gazebo, I already figured out how I could put them, in fact, I've already got the material. And that the time would come if she wanted to have her wedding here. And the time has come. She got engaged after she graduated from college, and she's now in her nursing school, and the wedding is going to be next September. So I've heard that I can't put in for the date until November the 7th, after the annual November 6th meeting. And now I'm hearing something about they're not going to let the residents have use the ballroom. I've seen memorials in here, people that have a 50th anniversary. They have
A rumor,
what?
a rumor.
She's got the floor.
A rumor.
It's not.
Oh, it's a rumor that we are going to still be able to have things here? So I don't know. I just heard that, and I talked at the front desk, and that they were saying that might be, yeah, that could be a thing. Now, I know if we have people that come in and they're not residents, and I know I came to see a wedding, and it was one of the residents' friend's daughters, and maybe that would be different, but then, you know, that person could become my sister. If people want to come in here, and they're sneaky people, and they want to do it, they're going to get in. Now, one thing I heard from a friend of mine who lives in Sun Lakes this morning, I heard somebody talk at this meeting that they said they take their golf cart over to Sun Lakes, and they are never checked out, and they just go right in. Well, my friend at Sun Lakes said there is somebody that used to live in Sun Lakes, moved over here, and still goes over in his golf cart, and I had kind of an identification of the people, and they just go in and they pay cash for their golf so they don't have to show their IDs. If people want to do that, and they're going to be sneaky, those sneaky people are always going to keep doing that. But as far as the guest thing, the 2 guests, I think that would be great rather than a bunch of out people. And I spoke the last time that our facility is the one that's getting used, and we're not allowed over there. But as far as our ballroom and the amphitheater, I would be crushed, because we've already made a lot of plans, and our planners will plan every year ahead of time. So I just hope that wouldn't happen, and I hope it is a rumor. Thanks.
Next speaker is Lynn Ray Dupree.
My name is Lynn Ray Dupree, and I'm the current events coordinator and tournament director for the Four Seasons Beaumont Pickleball Group. I have a lot to say and only 3 minutes to say it, so I'm going to talk fast. Last May, the board approved our first ever Four Seasons Pickleball Group sponsored invitational tournament. After being invited to and participating in other tournaments, we were so excited to return the favor and experience by hosting our own tournament. At the time, I was aware of the guest policy concerns in our community, so I wanted to make sure we went above and beyond to keep our tournament guests in check and the community at ease. Four Seasons residents were given priority registration for this special event. Every resident who wanted to participate did. I also listed our tournament on pickleballtournaments.com, a USAPA-sponsored site administered by tournament directors like myself for the purpose of scheduling, hosting, and managing pickleball tournaments. Players can find information for upcoming tournaments in their area, and if they wish to participate, they provide information such as age, gender, skill level for the purpose of placing them in brackets for fair and balanced competition. Never, in any instance that I know of, has a player been required to provide their address or type of community that they live in. For our tournament, every player had to contact me directly in order to register. Extensive measures were put into place to ensure that all outside guests were controlled and accounted for at all times. I was told by board member John Noonan that we ran an exemplary event. A letter of commendation regarding the event was sent to the board from USAPA Ambassador Bob Mitchell, who attended our event. In July, the board approved our fall outside invite tournament, and we began to organize it in the exact same way as our first tournament since it went so well. On August 21st, I received a 2-sentence email from our general manager, Eric Czar, saying a board-approved special event was canceled because of the pickleballtournament.com posting. At a subsequent meeting that afternoon, we were told that one person had complained to the board president about the posting. I have to say, I was hurt and baffled. Why did the one person not come to our pickleball director with their concerns? And even more so, why did the board not contact our director, Nancy Barnaby, or myself before simply squashing the event? At another meeting a week later, we were told we would be allowed to host a tournament, but that we could only invite people who live in 55-plus HOA communities. Resident Keith Linton, who lives here, his son came and played with his dad in our first tournament. Not invited. Janelle Von Kleist, longtime friend and newbie pickleballer who came from Claremont to play in our first tournament with Janelle. Not invited. Kathy Walford's sweet and handsome boyfriend, Bob Keller from Idlewild. Not invited. USAPA Ambassador Bob Mitchell from Redlands, who came to play in our first tournament, not invited. Senior pro Kenny McGregor, my friend, who is pictured on the cover of this pickleball magazine, not invited. Yeah, my word? Wheelchair guy, playing pickleball, not invited. I just have 2 more lines. In our very own Beaumont City firefighters team playing in Beaumont Community Center on a very rainy day last January. Not invited. For those of us who have been welcome to play pickleball in a variety of venues, both public and private, playing all types of people from all walks of life who live in all kinds of communities, the idea of only inviting people who live in 55-plus HOA communities seems exclusive, discriminatory, and counter to the social and inclusive culture of pickleball. I respectfully ask the board to reconsider this parameter they have uniquely and unfairly imposed on the group-sponsored, previously approved special event, especially in light of the fact that we've broken no rule and have in no way negatively impact our community. Sorry, I went over.
I'm Nancy Barnaby, and I live at 162 Brush Creek. I wanted to address a couple of issues regarding our pickleball tournament. First of all, at our meeting with management and 3 board members, we were given a tax law regarding nonprofit status and how we may be in violation. After speaking to a number of people and CPAs, the tax law they presented to us was not even the tax code that applies to HOAs. Also, any and all money we collect from our tournament goes directly back into our pickleball group. From our last approved tournament, we were able to purchase some pickleball equipment and do other enhancements to our courts. We were able to put on a great 4th of July tournament, and any money left over we had planned to use for our Christmas party. Our last invitational tournament was all pre-funded by us. We never asked the board for any money for this event. We also have a nonprofit checking account as directed by the bank. I know other groups and clubs that charge for guests. Last month at the board meeting, a club that was having a special event asked the board for monies to subsidize a band they were having. The board denied the request, but told them to charge the guests and residents instead. I guess it was okay for them, but not us. Secondly, we have all played in a number of tournaments throughout Southern California. We have never encountered in any of these tournaments a restriction on who can play. We have played in other private communities like ours, in city recreational parks, at the Loma Linda University courts, and many other places. Pickleball is a social and inclusive culture. We do not discriminate on who can play based on where they live or their age. Our last tournament was just 5 months ago, was approved without any restrictions. So what has changed in these last few months? So in short, we cannot in good conscience go along with the restrictions the board placed on us. At our last tournament, we had some of our players invite their families and friends to play with them, and they were decided to again get this opportunity. We have to take all our players into consideration when we make a decision. We did not feel it was fair to our players to put these board-imposed restrictions on them, and especially when these restrictions made absolutely no sense. I advise the board that we will be postponing our tournament at this time. I don't feel we have enough time to send out flyers to management of 55+ communities only, and then wait for a response from their pickleball members. And if we do not get enough responses, we'd have to get back to the board and figure out what our next step would be. There just wouldn't be enough time to put on an effective and well-planned tournament. We will visit this after the first of the year. On a personal level, in the 14 years I have lived here, I have always supported the board, as I know what a thankless job it is. I always believe they made decisions based on what is best for the whole community, and not just for 1, 2, or 3 people. I guess I was mistaken.
Our next speaker is Kelly Boggs.
I've lived here for 3 years, and over the 3 years, I've seen a definite change in the atmosphere of our community, and it's not been a positive one. When the kids were home, I had a sign in our home that said, "A house divided against itself will fall." In our community, if we continue to fight ugly against our neighbors, our community will fall. As word gets out, our reputation to the other communities like Sun Lakes, Altus, and to the public via the social media reviews that Four Seasons is full of ugly internal fighting, the desirability to live in our community will decrease our home values and will decrease us wanting to live here. Who wants to live in a neighborhood where the neighbors are angry and rude to each other? I come here today not with just complaints, I come with some suggestions that I feel can help Four Seasons get off the destructive road we are currently headed down. I have not seen the actual job description of the board of directors, but I believe the #1 job of the board of directors should be to maintain our property values and do everything they can to increase our property values. I believe every decision the board makes will ultimately add up to increasing home values or decreasing home values. So my suggestion is better communication on all hot topic issues. I describe those as these are all the issues that are heated and which causes all the fighting amongst all of our members. Here's my fix. Okay, I'm not a techie or anything. I'm sure there's someone that can figure out how to make this happen. But create a website or a podcast specific for Four Seasons hot topic issues. You could even call it that if you want. There was one done where Eric explained on Exhibit F when there was a lot of misunderstanding and not clear of what people were going to be voting on. So if you create a Four Season hotline, it's not for anybody to make any comments on. It's just to get the information to be given out explaining the facts of the hot topic issues. On the site, you could have 2 spokespeople, one from each side of the issue. You videotape each side, and it's going to be time and limited, and their statements will be explaining their reasons why they want to change and why they don't want to change. Then the board of directors collectively, not one board member, but all board members, they come up with an unbiased proposal with the best way to resolve the issue while maintaining our home values. Then the board videotapes their detailed proposal and put it on the site. This will get the true facts of the hot topic issues out and stop all the rumors. Then everyone will know exactly what they are voting for or against. We have a beautiful community here with wonderful amenities and activities and groups. But most of all, we have wonderful people here. And when we fight against this, it brings out ugliness with your neighbors, and it's ruining our community. So I just hope that we can all work together respectfully so we can all enjoy our awesome community.
Our next speaker is Jean Tamplin.
Hi, I'm Gene Tamplin. I live at 183 Brush Creek. It's going on my 14th year. This is to do with the poker group. There's an awful lot of rumors that are going around. I just want to make sure that everybody understands the poker group follows all the rules. We've even conferred with the Gambling Commission of the state. Some of the rumors are we change money in the lodge. We don't. Some people say we change it in the parking lot. We don't. We change it in a private home. So a few people have, passing these rumors, think they've seen it being exchanged in the lodge. There would be a useless exercise since we do it in a private home. They say we are, somebody rakes money off of the game. We don't. They also say there's that there are tournaments every Friday. Come to Friday and you'll be alone. There is a tournament at Sun Lakes in a private home. If you get on the list, you can get invited. Look, human beings are competitive by nature. It started long before the Roman Colosseum, and we just enjoy each other's company and the games we play. Please don't let these rumors ruin our fun. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tracy Maxwell.
I'm Tracy Maxwell from 257 Broad River Trail. The reason I'm speaking today is in protest of the board's decision to cancel our open pickleball tournament as planned. From what I understand, the board approved our plan to hold a second annual pickleball tournament, and then based upon a complaint that we advertised the event notified our organizers to cancel the event as planned and restrict the invitation to 55+ only communities. We currently have over 100 registered pickleball members. Does our opinion not count? Our first open event held earlier this year was a huge success. The event went smoothly with players from around the area and some from as far away as Tustin and Bakersfield. Guests were met at the lobby, registered, given wristbands, and escorted to the courts. We showcased our beautiful new pickleball courts, our beautifully landscaped grounds, and our welcoming, active community. I personally know of 2 couples that purchased a home here in the Four Seasons after attending this event. My concern is that this attitude of exclusion will permeate the soul of our community, and we will become a walled-off old folks home instead of an active adult community. Are we to become a community of grumpy old people hiding in our houses? There's no harm in allowing outsiders to enter our community as long as they are supervised. It adds to the quality of life here at the Four Seasons, encouraging a fun, healthy competition. Don't close us off to the world just because of a few complaints. Thank you.
Our last speaker is Eileen Gilbert.
Good afternoon, board members and fellow Four Seasons residents. My name is Eileen Gilbert Antoine, and I moved here like Nancy and Jean 14 years ago. Before this beautiful lodge was even built, Highland Springs was just 2 lanes with dirt. I have met and befriended many good people here and have been very happy until now. I now address the 8 people who began this No Guest campaign and all your attendant supporters. You know who you are, and we know who you are. You are trying to bring division, damage, and contention to our beautiful community. The operative word is trying. Why? Why did you not bring love and kindness instead? What about friendship? My guess is that you are truly unhappy people, and this is your focus. The silent majority of the people in this community are kind, loving, good, and strong. And you who undermine us are in the tiny minority. Board members, I implore you to exercise your leadership on behalf of all of us that are depending on you to maintain a welcoming resort-style community. Prohibiting guests does not accomplish that. Lastly, I appeal to you good, kind, and amazing people that make up the majority of our community. Wake up. Be alert. Do something. Exercise your strength and goodness to keep our community at the standard we deserve and have enjoyed so far. Thank you.
With no further speaker slips, we'll move on to the agenda of the consent calendar. Notice of the consent calendar is to make a single motion to approve all included items. If for a particular reason that item needs to be pulled or discussed for the consent calendar, then a call to move that item should be made by the board member. In the consent calendar are minutes from August 5th and August 8th, bond releases for phases 178, 181, 182, and 185. Review and implementation of a new finance committee approved CD and investment plan. Also liens on account 6310-140101 in the amount of $1,173. Lien on account 631-0113201 in the amount of $2,032.90. And a lien on the account 631-0006705 in the amount of $1,280. There's no club or group application request. And facility request for September 15th of this year, September 29th of this year, November 3rd of this year, November 16th of this year, and November 24th of this year.
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to move the consent calendar for discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. There was an executive session meeting held this morning. The board reviewed delinquencies, violation hearings, contracts, legal issues, and personnel. And then we'll move on to our committee reports. First up is the ad hoc off-leash area. One action was that Martha has resigned. We'll send her a thank you. Next up is the ad hoc power out.
Randy's gone till October.
And next up then is our architectural committee. Steve.
This is really repetitive, but it is what it is. Our numbers are up there, the number of applications, the addendums, and the A's and the C's. Again, we're still dealing with the issue of Schedule C's, which is the report that comes in that says that the homeowners completed their project, it's done. Can we come out, make sure it's accurately reported, and then get it put into the individual homes files. We are not getting those back. There are tons of them, they're not turned in. The excuses that we keep hearing is, well, my contractor's supposed to do it, or it's not important. And as you can see, there are just tons of them, and we're appealing to the homeowners, we appeal to all the homeowners who are sitting here. If you're in that boat, or you have a neighbor or a friend that is, fill the form out. It can't possibly take more than 4 or 5 minutes, and we can get it done, get it memorialized, get it attached to your property, and roll forward. Other than that, things are rolling out as we expected. We don't really have any issues that come up. We can resolve almost everything quickly in the first time around. Karen Proctor has been with us a couple of years. She's ready to relax and enjoy being just a resident, and she is resigning, I believe, the 17th of next month. So that leaves us with 2 openings. We are looking for other members. Anybody sitting out in this audience that's at least a little bit interested, come to one of our meetings, see what we do. The thing I like best about this is that we meet the homeowners, new homeowners, homeowners who have been here forever, and we get to see all the new fun things that are being done in the landscape and home improvement area. That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Next is the Communications Board.
Relationship with the Communications Board, and we are lucky. We have 15 members, and 1 person is ready for board approval. So currently, we're not looking for any participants. Lynn's 3-part article about the Conservancy. The first one was in September, and the next part will be in our October-ish. And we're continuing to compile a list of residents for interviews and articles chronicling their interesting lives and careers. And as I'm sure those of you who read the brief, I'm sure it's everybody in this room, we've started writing and publishing the articles. It's fascinating to me. We have people who are hiking in Spain to celebrate their 70th birthdays. That's really something. So you can read all about it. The work on the years in review is continuing and should be completed by December. And as fast as we are getting information about our new Copperfield Bistro, we are putting it in the breeze. But if you want the most up-to-date information, check the website. And again, the breeze is published monthly. So if there's something that you need to check to make sure if it's current, like date of a club or the time of a club meeting or something like that, check the website. It will have any up-to-date changes on it. That's about it. Mel Zeldin is ready for board approval.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Mel Zeldin as a member of the Communication Board. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint these 2 people to the Royal Board of the Communications Board. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. We have 2 meetings a month. Our planning meeting is at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, the first Wednesday of every month, and our proofing meetings at 10 a.m. on the 10th of each month. So come join us. Well, not join us, but come and see what we do. Thanks.
Next is the Community Planning and Transition Committee.
Hi, I'm Colin Taylor, Chair of the Community Planning and Transition. We're working with the ad hoc dog off-leash area group, looking at a number of potential areas. Some of the locations have 1 or more homes overlooking So obviously that's of concern to those homeowners. Others border the buffer zone. So we need to get a very clear definition of what we can and can't do within the buffer zones, and clear definition of where those boundaries are. We're continuing to work on the overall master plan. We briefed the board last week. We're going to continue to work on that, and then sometime in the future there'll be I think probably a workshop on that. We're meeting with solar companies to investigate the economic potential savings that we might get. We're continuing to digitize all the construction drawings that we have from KOF. And we're looking at what we call underutilized areas. These are pieces of land, parcels dotted around our development that are not fully utilized. The first thing is to just list all these areas, these parcels that we have. And the second part is, what might we want to do with them in the future? So I have an action item here for any of you. Are there any future activities or interests that might be of interest to you that we don't do now? And just some off the top of my head: vegetable gardening, golf driving range, croquet, lawn bowling. We've got these sites and they all have different limitations. Like south of the Crooked Creek area, there's several acres that's sort of difficult to get to. There's a limited number of things we could do with it. Vegetable gardens might be one, if the board allowed it, if there was a need for it. Croquet, for example, we've got unused horseshoe pit down here. It's a nice location, it's not used. If there were people that wanted to play croquet or lawn bowling, that kind of thing. Golf driving range. We've got some catchment basins that for a month or two of the year are wet. So it's really limited what you could do with them. But for 9 months of the year, it could be a golf driving range. Who knows? So the first thing is, we're going to list all of these areas. We're going to list what limitations apply to all of them. And then I invite you to, there's my email, invite you, any ideas that you might have, no matter how crazy. Drone flying club, I don't know. They're noisy. So we'd have to find a location that was, wasn't too close to any homes. But we're not promising that we could do any of them. But let us know the things that you might want to do, and we'll see whether we can match them up to any sites, as provided the rules and limitations would allow it. Our next meeting is Thursday the 26th, Rec Centre North, 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Next is the Emergency Preparedness Committee. All right, next is the Facilities Committee. Bruce.
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. The aerobics room floor in the spa building has been replaced. Today we have several proposals from the Facilities Committee. The first proposal is for a street slurry in the Phase A area. The community streets receive a street slurry approximately every 5 years as maintenance to maximize the street longevity. Four Seasons Boulevard between the Summit and the Court Circle has not been slurried and has potholes, other issues requiring repair, and a certain amount of repaving to prevent further deterioration of our street. We're recommending vendor made NPG asphalt to place one coat of seal coat over the existing asphalt in Phase A, and also to place 2 coats of seal coat on Four Seasons Boulevard between the Summit Circle and the Court Circle. In addition, they're needed to place approximately 2 inches of asphalt in order to pave 10 areas, approximately 160 linear feet between the Summit Circle and the Court Circle, and also apply approximately 4,500 linear feet of hot rubberized crack sealer in the cracks in the Phase A section and in the area on Four Seasons Circle. Striping surfaces will also be provided, including removing and replacement of the thermoplastic at the top side and yield sides and crosswalks, and the parking stalls will also be restriped. You may notice that there's a bid for slightly a lesser amount than the $84,058 to do this project. It is a reserve item. Several of the reasons for the cost reduction is our increase is our previous vendor, the thermoplastic that's at all the stop signs, crosswalks, etc. They basically just slurried around them. And I have pictures for you if the board needs those. The current one does it the proper way and removes the thermoplastic. We put the sealer down, and then we also put the thermoplastic above it. Also included in the bid, safety last month had you approved several new crosswalks which are in the Phase A area. We elected to combine that all in, so the $1,250 is in this bid, and that prevents us from putting up crosswalks and then slurring over and having to do it again. And again, this is a reserve item. Also, we have a proposal to replace the lodge landscape lighting with LED lighting. The current landscape lighting at this lodge facility has reached its lifespan and is currently not operational. We are recommending Horizon Lighting replace about 102 existing fixtures with LED lighting and ground repair wiring issues. The cost for the project is $23,093.36. The good news is there's a fairly rapid return on our investment in the 2 to 3 year range for this. We'll save about $3,500 a year in electricity, several thousand dollars in the bulb replacements. We have these things are warranted for in excess of 5 years. There's also the issues with the ballast, which are becoming filled with water on our current system, which is costing us thousands of dollars already in repairs. So I think this will be beneficial to the community. Again, this is with our current vendor. There was several bids which was several $1,000s cheaper. Those bids only reflect just the replacement of the fixtures themselves. Our current vendor has first-hand knowledge of the extent of the wiring issues that we have that's been caused by these ballasts and burning out. Initially came in with a quote of $32,000. We had a representative to our facilities for management go back to him. We wish to request the hours and the wiring costs specifically to do that wiring. He elected to bring the bid down $8,000 to $9,000. He will also, we also requested that after completion of the job, if the board chooses to go forward with this, that he will give us a cost in labor hours and wiring materials to the extent to replace those wiring. So please keep that in consideration when you look at these proposals. Facility committees meets on the second Wednesday of the month at 10 a.m. We do have positions open for residents interested in serving our community. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Next is finance. Boyd.
Good afternoon. My name is Boyd Farlett. I'm one of the members of the committee. And as you can see from the posting, our net income is almost $300,000 better than our expenses. A big part of that is that when we do a budget for a whole year, and then we just evenly divide that out by month, which means that the amount of water that we budget for is the same in January as it is in July. But we don't spend the money in January, but we do spend the money in July and August and September. So that's part of the savings that we've had so far. Also, we have other things like tree trimming that are budgeted every month, but those tend to happen in the fall. So again, we're under budget in expenditures, but we'll have those expenditures coming later in the year. The HOA fee default, we are less than 1%, which is just fantastic for an HOA. I've heard reports that many HOAs in the area are in excess of 5% or more, and that's really great for us. We are in the budget process right now. The reserve study, I think, has been completed, or
So close.
it's still close, okay. And that's one element that we used in creating the budget. And then also we've met with all the other committees and gotten their wish list to work that into the budget, and put that all together, hopefully at our next meeting, September 24th, to present to the board for them to make a decision and to review. Also, there was a mention of changing in the investment thing. We were not happy with the service we were getting from the last broker. First Services Financial, they have a different arm of their organization. They put together some plans, and we've recommended that the board make a move to First Service Financial and a different broker to help us. Our goal in the investment is to keep the money invested safely at the highest rate we can get. The goal is the rate, and as long as it fits into our plan. So they're going to help us in actually increasing the amount of money we can get there. We did review 7 proposals that have been passed on to the board with our recommendation, and we have one opening in the Finance Committee. So if you're interested in what the Finance Committee does, which is basically review the proposals and help with the budget, to present that to the board, come join us on the 24th of September at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Next is the Landscape Committee. Lynette.
Lynette Simonson, Landscape. We had a really big storm come through here one night recently, and that's Mr. Weather playing games with our vendors and their work orders. So there's a slowdown because that storm left pine needles and sycamore leaves and even a tree or a bush in places they weren't supposed to be. So they had to work through their regular planned schedules and adding cleanup in areas that were not on the program. Thank you for your patience while that regular schedule was getting back on track with extra work included. Another issue of patience for some and a lot of people is our glacier slope. If you know the history, and I do, then you know that finally the irrigation and plantings are established, yay, and the roots are holding the really bad soil. Soon, in green talk is like a couple of years, that slope will have the plants filling in well and looking more like Four Seasons HOA landscape we've come to expect. So patience is much appreciated. Okay, have you seen those white markings on pines? Ignore them. The HOA thinning of too numerous trees is ongoing, and it includes a lot of groundwork because it's a big project and we need to do it well informed of all the aspects. So it takes time to look at all the issues involved on a big project, so stay tuned. We'll be letting you know as things go along. Thank you.
Next is the Safety Committee. Anita?
Okay, for safety, a lot of people were concerned about the streetlights, and there was a meeting with the board and Eric Czar regarding the streetlights, and there were 16 that were out, and they're working on them. All of them have not been fixed yet, but they will be fixed. There will be a speed traffic camera that we will start using, and it's the same as when you see on the freeway and it shows how fast you're going. The company that will be handling that will have a demonstration on September the 26th at 2 o'clock. So it will be at the RCN. We're asking those to come and see so you'll know what's happening when we get this. And our October meeting, generally we meet the first Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m., but some will be out of town. So this time we will be meeting the second Tuesday of the month, which will be October 8th. We ask for all of you to, if you see any trip hazards on any of the sidewalks or anything going on, please let us know. There's some work that will be done and some bids are out. But we do have a couple openings on safety, and I know you're glad that I didn't say anything about speeding.
Next is the social committee. That'll be Cindy.
Oh.
Cindy now, Cindy later.
Yeah, I'll just do it now. Let's work it. So the Hawaiian Luau is on Saturday, September 21st. And we're excited because we have our pigpole bearers all established now. And we're going to have some new guys that you get to check out, right, Steve? Yeah, carrying that pig, which is always a huge ceremony in that luau. It's going to start at 5 o'clock. The ceremony is going to be at 5:30. Be there or be square, boys. And we'll have our outside. We haven't been before because some of you guys are new, right? And there is going to be a big show with fire dancers and all of that out in the luau. So what you're going to end up doing is you are going to come on in here, have your dinner, and then you are going, I would like music, by the way. Ooh, by some talented residents. That's the added value package. So that's going to be cool. And then you're going to go outside to the loggia and you're going to find the chair that has your table on it and your table number. Okay? So that's how you're going to have seating out there, but it'll all be nice and organized and so clear. Thank you, Handyman, for being able to put all those chairs out there in the heat. And then we'll have our show. And then come on back in. So that's how that works. We're completely sold out, of course. And where's Brenda? We got sold out almost the first day, right? Yeah. So, and I think we have 0 guests on that luau, right, Brenda? I think we have 0 guests on this event, right? Okay, so just so you know, none of those sneaky little guests are coming in on the luau. We've got the luau going on with all residents. If you didn't get your ticket, please feel free to put your name up at the desk on the waiting list, just in case, okay? Because it can happen. And then on October 26th, oh, I'm so excited. Colin totally knows about this guy. This is Anthony Hernandez, master of illusion and comedy. He is one of the guys that works at the Magic Castle. Really expert. And if any of you guys were here, what, like 4 years ago or something? This guy, I'm not kidding you, made it snow in the ballroom. Really. Really. I mean, it was paper snow, but whatever. But it looked like real snow with animals and birds and all kinds of stuff that he was pulling out of all kinds of elbows, okay? So it was really great. The tickets are going to be on sale. What day are the tickets on sale, Brenda?
Monday.
Yeah, okay, Monday. You want to go to this. If you can go to this, it's going to be really fun. And it'll be augmenting our other kind of Halloween-ish events, which we'll be having another one, which I'll tell you about next month, on the loggia, a Halloween event. So there you go. The tickets are super inexpensive. $20 for Magic Castle level of entertainment. And
what is this saying? And ticket sales will begin on September 16th. That's what I already said. So do it. Put it down on your calendar, and we'll see you soon. Actually, I'll be right back.
The Technical Operations Board. And we'll go to the community ambassador, Anita.
So cute.
That's perfect. Okay, thank you, Nellie, for that. But who knew? Boy, all right. Okay, keto is working. All right. I just want to say, really, because Mike was not here today. Yesterday, we had the emergency management there from Riverside County. They gave us 12 steps for preparing for a disaster. It was very good. It was in collaboration with our Neighborhood Watch for our emergency preparedness. We will be having some of the flyers out with some information, and all of you that were here, I know you got a really good lesson and what to do. So be prepared. It can be for anything that comes up. So the Neighborhood Watch was great on that, and a lot of our Neighborhood Watch as well. A lot of people come in and we talk about different subjects. They're concerned about the homeless. And the city of Temecula had a door ringer that they put out to all of their residents about the homeless, and we were able to get one and actually print out, and there will be some flyers back on the table as how to be responsible, how to be compassionate, and what to do for the homeless. So please pick up one of those there. Beaumont City itself is going to have a community cleanup day, and I'm sure you guys have seen this around. It's going to be on September the 28th. We'll have some flyers in the back as well. And so all of the things that you want to get rid of, the waste management is going to be there, so you can be there. However, there are some things like paint and oil, chemicals that will not be accepted there. Or we're working to find out, a lot of us have medicine. So medicine, they're asking you, please do not put medicine, pills, and all that in the waste, in your trash. However, the city is working to find out where else you can put them, because Walgreens and a lot of the pharmacies now do not accept that. So just hang tight. If you have to dispose of your medicine, mix it in with kitty litter or coffee grinds, you can do that. But a lot of the doctors even are saying, please be careful about a disposal of your medicine. Just so that you will know, everybody knows, so we want to make sure you know, if you have any family members, if you know of anyone that would be interested in having a job, there will be a job fair that will be put on next Tuesday at the Beaumont City Hall from 9 o'clock in the morning to 12 noon. They have a lot of big companies that are coming, such as the railroad, and you can ask, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask the railroad, why do they have so many trains coming through Pennsylvania? Just when I want to come, ting, ting. You know, but if you have anybody that you know of anybody, friend, family, Amazon will be there, casinos will be there. So you'll see this around, so I just want to make sure we all know what's going on. The city of Beaumont also has what they call the Military Banner Recognition Program. And this is to honor a family. So if you have someone that's serving in an active duty person that's serving, then it does cost $250 or a designation. But any event, there's an application. We will have these at the back as well. And you will see the pictures of those people that are serving along Oak Valley, and also it's going to be along 6th Street. So they're starting that here as well. We have quite a few veterans here, and we just want to know that, and let them know that we recognize POW, MIA. There are prisoners of wars that we still know that are around, or we dedicate our honor and service to our veterans as well as to our first responders. And we know that yesterday was 9/11, and a lot of people were lost and still suffering from that. So, in your prayers, please keep good thoughts for those people. Now, before I go, I'm going to do one thing to make it a little lighter, and that's what I'm going to show you. That I have the same top on that I'm You guys have a good one, and I know it's it's kind of tense today, but just know we all love each other as neighbors and friends. Just keep that in mind.
Next is the activity director report.
Please.
You're not wearing the same thing.
No, I'm not wearing the same thing. Why not? Thanks, Nellie. That was from the Woodstock event, our Woodstock concert last time. All right, I'll try to get through this quickly. If I can, you know how I am. The gallery art show is so awesome. If you have not been here when we've done a gallery art showing, showcasing our students in the clubs and classes here, you are missing a big thing. So come, we have really yummy, elegant appetizers. We have a renowned pianist who's going to be doing background music. And you are just going to love the artwork. So come on out and support our artists and see what incredible talent lives here. And it might even inspire you to try to take up some kind of art yourself, try a new thing. You cannot believe how many people have gone into drawing and sketching or some other kind of art media and realize that they just never had time to try it out, and it turns out they're great. So check it out. Come on over and see us tomorrow, and that is going to be from 4 to 8 o'clock. And then don't forget that the garage sale is, we're taking participation fees for the upcoming HOA Fall Community Garage Sale, which is going to be October 5th. From 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the last day, which is important for you to put down to sign up, is Sunday, September 29th. You are able, if you want to, if you miss that deadline, you are able to go to City Hall yourself, get your city permit so that you can do it, but you won't be on the map, and you will also, well, you kind of will actually be able to piggyback on the advertisement, which is what that other $2 is for. But there is kind of Beaumont fundraising going on during that garage sale, which means the code enforcement loves to come driving through the community to make sure that everybody has their permits. Okay? Because there's a fine if you don't have a permit. So try not to open up your garage at the last second trying to piggyback off of your neighbor, because there is a chance that code enforcement might come and ask you for your permit. You never know. All right, and then big time, we will never forget the sacrifice going back to Anita's deal on the MIA POW Recognition Day. And there will be, on Friday, September 20th, the HOA and the Veterans Roll of Honor group invite everyone to attend our upcoming National POW MIA Recognition Day caravan to the Hillside Cemetery in Redlands, where our 26 adopted POW MIA grave sites lie. We will perform a simple ceremony to honor and remember their ultimate sacrifice. We will gather in the lodge parking lot at 8:30 a.m. and leave for the cemetery at 9 a.m. For more information, contact our very own Len. And even if you are not a vet, I dare you to come. It is a small, simple ceremony, and it is extremely touching. So it's kind of neat to take a minute out of your yearly busy schedule and just honor and remember. Then on a lighter note, we're using that term lately, aren't we? On a lighter note, we would love to have you join us in the ballroom for another fun and hilarious free evening of entertainment with Gale Games. This month's game will be Majority Rules. You're welcome to bring your dinner and favorite beverages in while you play. The date is Friday, September 27th at 6 p.m. And then, regarding club group and classes, karaoke will be meeting in the Lodge Ballroom at 5 p.m. This month on Saturday, September 14th. Come on down and enjoy the free fun with neighbors. And is it going to be this month that you're going to share the new karaoke policy? Or next month?
No, we'll share it this month, but it'll go into effect next month.
Okay. So come and stay tuned for the new karaoke policy that John's going to share. And then it'll go into, it has to do with yes too, just so you know. And then that'll go into effect in October, right?
Right.
Okay. And finally, the amphitheater concert series, it's anything but serious, is going to be on Sunday, September 22nd, the grand finale, and back by popular demand, one more time, it won't be next year, but one more time, is the Kelly Ray Band. So we snagged them again from Stagecoach, again, and they're coming on down, and they always provide a really cool show. Show starts at 7 p.m. And don't forget that you can't put your chairs up until 10 a.m. and there will be nice bodyguard Mark Glass in there to make sure that everybody complies with that. So there you go. It's going to be a great rest of the month. And look forward to October.
80 is the management updates and activity log. There's no action, it's just for board review. Same on pages 81 through 98, there are correspondence that have been received over the month. With that, there's no action, just for, unless you see an action item. With that, we'll go to new business. First on new business is co-sponsoring the event policy. And this goes back to developing a consistent policy to yes. This goes to the board wanting to develop a consistent policy for.
Yes, this is on the agenda because we're looking at a situation where we have an increasing number of clubs, an increasing number of homeowners and residents who are in those clubs. And in the past, we have had additional funds come in each year because of the way we were acquiring new houses. When K-Hope started building the houses and they were at a certain level of development, they started making payments as if they were occupied into our HOA fund. And that HOA fund sort of gave us an excess because there was nobody living here who caused us to expend those funds. And many of those funds were used to help support our clubs and groups. At the end of this year, when we're built out, we will no longer be getting that kind of money in addition to the normal homeowner dues. And because of the increased demands, we're going to have to reduce considerably the contributions we make to clubs and groups each year and ask the clubs and groups to raise their own money from their own participants to fund the activities they want. We will still be funding all of the HOA-sponsored events that Cindy takes care of, and she will help the clubs and groups with support, that she normally provides to them. But if you need additional funds for your own particular group, you won't be able to get much from the HOA. When you leave here today, if you go out those doors and look to your left, you'll see a board on the wall that was started by the Event Systems Committee many, many years ago. They raised through their own personal donations thousands of dollars to get started with many of our events that are taking place here and down in the amphitheater. It was that kind of spirit that really started a lot of the activities that go on here, and really should be the standard for which our clubs and groups have events. So this is just, I let everybody know when they plan their activities for 2020 for your group that you probably won't get additional funding from the HOA. You'll have to either scale back your desires or you'll have to spend more out of your own funds to do it so that we can stay solvent and keep any increase in dues to a minimum.
Okay. Next will be the, on page 99 through 101, is a proposal from the Landscape Committee for the Thistle and Cascade Creek mulch. So this is to remove the monochlorine and install mulch on those primary cost center homes. The proposal was 3404. The Finance Committee and the Landscape Committee both agreed to reduce that to 2904 because there's a dump fee of $500 that is excessive. So total cost of this proposal would be $2,904.
I make a motion to approve the removal of myofilm and replace it with mulch in the amount of $2,904.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to remove the myophorum from the Thistle Creek and Cascade Creek and mulch. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks. On pages 102 through 105 is a proposal from the Landscape Committee to spruce up the Tinkers Creek Park slope in the amount of $7,268.
I'll make a motion to approve cleaning up the unsightly area on Tinker Creek Park slope in the amount of $7,268.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to remove some dead patches of plants and clean up the area on Thistle Creek Park slope at a cost of $7,268. Discussion?
I'd just like to add that this was approved by the Finance Committee, and you do have the right to do it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on pages 106 through 108 is another proposal from the Landscape Committee for the Trout Run slope area here across from the lodge in the front yard cost center. This proposal is a total of $807.
I'll make a motion to approve $807 for the original plant material that was planted on the slopes is greatly deteriorated and now is leaving the slope unsightly. Replacement.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to replace the original plant material on Trout Run slope for a cost of $807. Any discussion?
I'd just like to make the same comment that this was approved by the Finance Committee, and there are funds to do it.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on pages 109 through 129 is a proposal from the Facilities Committee that Bruce went over before to slurry phase A, and then also from the Four-Season Circle from the summit down to the courts. Total cost of the project is $84,058, which is a reserve expense.
So we accept the proposal from the Facilities Committee to do the slurry
in that area from, and use MPG for a total of $84,058.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the recommendation to slurry coat the Phase A streets at a cost of $84,058 out of our reserve expense. Discussion?
You just said it, I'd just like to point out that this is what a reserve is all about, that the money builds up over the years in the reserve to take care of these kind of situations when they come about.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I also noticed that it was signed off by Barry. He didn't fill out the paperwork to say he approved it.
I was there, he did.
Okay, all right, excellent. And we have Jolene who says he did approve it, so.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on pages 130 through 131 is a request from the Tails and Trails and Dog Owners Group to hold a blessing of the animals around the lodge grounds. There's no cost to the association. It'll be at 4 p.m. on October 12th. An interdenominational/non-denominational event.
I'll make a motion to approve the blessing of the animals by Tails and Trails Group at no cost to the association.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve blessing of the animals by Tails and Trails at no cost to the association. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on pages 132 through 133 is a request from the activity director for the annual holiday extravaganza/card parade. Total cost for this event will be $1,158 out of the activity director's budget.
Since we disapproved the other funding for the other club, and we now have instituted this policy about not co-sponsoring events, I don't think it's appropriate for us to be approving this, and there's several after this as well, so I don't think this is...
We need to get a motion first.
Sorry.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion we approve this.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we spend $1,158 in the holiday extravaganza. Joe?
Again, I don't think this can be approved since we disapproved the African American Club funding last month. If we're going to be consistent, we have to be consistent for everybody. So all of the different clubs that are requiring monies, we can't approve one and not the other. So either we approve them all or we approve none. And we just said now that we have this event policy that we are not going to be doing that. Only the HOA items will be funded and not events. So I would think this, as well as several others that we have in here, should not be funded.
This is an HOA.
Sorry, Cindy.
Cindy.
I just want to make it clear, PAC is not asking for the funds. When I do the holiday HOA, holiday extravaganza, I either hire entertainment, like an outside play company, or I get the Performing Arts Club to be my entertainment for free. So all of the rest of that, it's free entertainment for my event. It is not their event.
So this is your event and
Yes.
you get help from them. This is not money to go.
Exactly. I
That
get their
sponsors.
free show rather than us, like next year, if we don't have a show that we can do through the Performing Arts Club, then I will hire a show and then I'll ask for more money. But this time it's a 2-show thing and they were willing to work and be my entertainment for free for this year's event. That's how that is.
Then I guess we shouldn't be presenting it this way. We present it as an HOA function, which we said we're going to do, or...
Which it is.
On only an
Okay.
HOA function, with assistance from the club.
Yes, you got it.
Any other discussion?
No.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on pages 134 through 135 is a Veterans Roll Honor Roll activity. not to exceed $750.
I'll make a motion to approve $750 for the Veterans Honor Roll presentation that's sponsored by the activity director.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Veterans Honor Roll activity at a cost of $750. Discussion?
This falls in the same category?
It does.
This is an HOA function.
It is. And they're the man work that's helping me put this whole thing together. They're not asking for the money, I am.
Okay.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on page 136 is a proposal for a cars and coffee car show to be held on November 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Make a motion to approve a car show for the amount of $150.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the car show for $150. Discussion?
Same thing?
Yep.
Same thing.
This is an HOA sponsored event.
Car show, yes.
Yes.
But only HOA members' cars, so there's no
Yes,
outside
only
members'
HOA
cars.
members'
It's homeowners showing off their prized possessions. And the motorcycle club and the 4x4.
Open to the whole community.
I'd like to comment that all of these motions that we just had and all these activities have all been signed off by the Finance Committee as there's money available to do these things.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on pages 137 through 155 are the financials. They've already been reviewed by the Finance Committee and the two board members, but with the new civil code, we always bring it in the packet as well for the board to approve as a whole.
I make a motion to approve the July financials that were reviewed in Finance Committee meeting.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the July financials. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next on pages 156 through 160 are changes to the facility use guidelines. There's rule changes which will then go out for 28-day homeowner comment. First one is that residents must file or sign in each and every time they enter the facility. Currently, the guideline that states that residents need to file or sign in is with the guest policy. So to make it more clear and in its own section, it'd be a one-page addition. Next on page 159, item 2 for facility use. Currently it says that the facilities may be reserved up to 1 year in advance or within 48 hours of an event, but cannot be reserved for 2 consecutive weeks. The addition would be reservations may only be made for the upcoming year after the association annual planning meeting, normally held in the first week in November. And on item 29, in addition, we say the summit is a first come, first served facility. However, each club, group, or class may book a party 2 times a year based upon availability without charge.
Make a motion that these rule changes be approved and go out to the public for comment, 30-day comment.
I'll second that. Oh, sorry.
It's been moved and seconded that proposed use guidelines proposals change go out for comment, for 28 comment. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then we're going to jump to page 171 through 204. This is a proposal from the Facilities Committee that Bruce had outlined before to redo the lighting, the ground lighting, the uplighting for different plants throughout the lodge. Total cost for this project is $23,093.36. This did go to finance, and this is also a reserve expense. And they're all turned off right now because there's a safety hazard.
I move we provide the landscape lighting for a cost of $23,093.96, which is a reserve expense.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve a change to landscape lighting at a cost of $23,093.96 out of the reserve expense. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on the handout that we had from before is a section for private parties for the board to discuss.
The board is taking a look at the fact that we only have 52 weekends in a year, and the fact that with now close to 4,000 residents living here, we can no longer accommodate private parties for a single household. The demands on this ballroom exceed right now the demands of the HOA itself. And so we will honor all those commitments that we already have made for the remainder of this year and a couple that we've made for next year. But we will no longer be allowing private individuals to have parties, particularly those that include large numbers of outside guests. We will allow private parties for memorial services and for birthdays and for anniversaries and even weddings of residents who live here and for which the majority of the people who attend are either immediate family members or residents. So that's going to be our policy going forward.
Can I clarify a little bit?
Yes.
Just to clarify, what we're trying to say is that we've had situations and occasions where maybe a wedding takes place that was no one that lives in here's actual involvement. It's maybe a friend of a friend's child. All we're trying to do is say that anything going forward, it has to be people that actually live in here who have an event. Anything else?
Is there a motion needed on
Yeah,
this?
you can make a motion that the association will no longer own private parties. Private parties are defined as a party where the resident sponsors for someone that does not live here. Private resident events are still allowed and will be defined as memorial services, birthday parties for residents, and the wedding or renewal of vows of the residents.
Make a motion to, do you have to repeat it, Eric?
No.
What Eric just stated.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that the association will no longer hold private parties. Private parties are defined as a party that a resident sponsor for someone that does not live here. Private resident events are still allowed and would be defined as memorial services, birthday parties for residents, and the wedding or renewal of vows for a resident. Any discussion?
Yeah,
I would just like to leave that open a little bit. Obviously, if we can figure out some way to move functions from Saturdays to Sundays and get some more Sunday activities with the people inside to free up more Saturdays to have such things in the future, it's something we ought to think about and consider. Again, right now, correct, I don't see that we can do that, but I would still like to leave it open for further looking at it in the future.
I think this ought to go into effect January of 2021, since we already have agreed to have some residents have weddings. I don't see how we can stop other residents from having weddings for next year. We've already approved 3 or 4 weddings, so I think
Well,
we should not.
the thing is, our policy is that when it comes to reserving our facilities, that the first choice goes to the HOA. And the HOA, because we have not budgeted for next year, has not had an opportunity to schedule anything for next year.
But we already have.
Well, that was done erroneously. It should not have been done.
But since it was done erroneously,
We're gonna compound it by making more errors?
no, I'm just saying people can go on a list, and in November, when we have the open date, then we can schedule those weddings of those people who want to have weddings next year.
If dates free up, and there's nothing else going on, you know, it certainly should be considered. But I agree, the basics ought to be, we're not going to do it. We said this is what we want to propose for now. Since we don't have any room and enough ability to put these in, we have to lay it out this way. But if we can work things out, again, by a more judicious scheduling of Saturdays and Sundays, and use Sundays more, freeing up more Saturdays, maybe in the future this is something we can do. I'm not saying this is the time to do it, but it's something we should certainly hold open in the future.
Well, I agree with that. I'm just saying that we ought to make it effective in January of 2021 and let people who want to have weddings next year, if the space is available, allow them to have weddings for next year. And then make this effective like a year from now, since we've already, like Lynn says, we might have blown it on 2 weddings, but since we already have agreed to have those 2 weddings, I think we ought to extend it for 1 more year and go into effect January of 2021.
Problem I see with that, John, is if we make it effective January 1st, 2021, then at the planning session in November of next year or thereafter, before the first of the year, there might be other people who want to step up and say, you haven't implemented the policy as yet, so I want February or March. I don't know if that would be a consideration.
No, if we made the vote right now to go into effect on January 1st of 2021, people can't come up and say, well, I want one in February of 2021. I don't think that would be an issue.
Cindy has a question.
Cindy?
Or maybe even as a consideration, after the community planning meeting in 2020, which is November, we not fill up with private parties with any openings there. Because typically the empty slots from all the community events get filled in with private parties at that time. So that might be more prudent than giving a certain amount of months from November to January for people to then book, like what you're saying, Sharon.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I just think if we leave it open, it's just going to create some more confusion.
Leaving it open for what?
You know, leave the date open until the January 2021. I think if we're going to implement it, we might as well vote on it. If it passes, then it goes into effect.
Well, we've already had one lady address the board today that she'd like to have a wedding next year. Are we going to say, no, you can't have it now?
Yeah.
Huh?
No. We're not gonna tell her she can't have a wedding.
No,
We're just telling her she can't
Can't
have
have
it
it
here.
Like, even though we've already approved two weddings for next year, we're going to tell her, we're going to tell people that we've approved 2 weddings, but now, because we have another person who wants to have a wedding next year, we're going to say, you can't have it, these 2 other people can, but you can't?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, John.
Say yes. Say yes.
Again, all this is contingent on us having space for these events to take place, the time. If we do have the time, John, your point is well taken. Maybe the thing to do to start this thing hard is January the 1st in 2021, since there's people that are into it already, and you can't let some do it and some not. But again, given that there's room, if there's no room, you can't.
All right, so the adjustment would be 2021?
Yeah, January 1st, 2021.
Actually, can we look at that again? Just the fact that November 2020, okay, is when we shut the private parties off so that we don't have
that crossover from November to January to the private parties.
So you're
So
saying
it's a
November.
clean cut.
So November 2020 will be the clean cut.
Right. November 2020 is the clean cut. We've already done 2021, and then no more private parties.
So we schedule nothing beyond that time?
Correct.
Okay.
And that makes sense to me.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you go ahead and schedule parties for 2020 right now?
In November, after we
No,
have our
I'm
annual
talking about
planning?
now. Right
No,
now.
I would not.
Okay, so you
Not
won't,
until after the annual planning.
you won't schedule any 2020 parties until November of this year?
Correct.
And that's codified in the rule change that we're sending out as well.
I'd like to ask the lady who addressed it, when do you plan on having that wedding?
It's going to happen over the Labor Day weekend. There was nothing going on here at all. This
All right.
was a couple of weeks ago.
That'll be under
And that would be under the November 1st date.
So I have to remember this November.
No. What I'm saying, she wants to make it effective November of 2020. So, but yours is going to be before 2020, so it wouldn't affect you. Okay.
It affects her ability to book it. She can't book it now.
No.
She can't book it till
She has to wait till
book it
November.
in November of this year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So we modified the motion to go into effect November 1st, 2020.
Yes, sir.
Totals, the actual totals on the sheet is 566 people responded. 239 people said they wanted no guest. 51 said they wanted one guest. 189 said 2 guests. 25 said 6 guests. 5 said 10. 6 said unlimited. 15 were blank. 3 said 8. 4, and then 3, it's all over the place. But the main categories came in at no guests for 239, 1 guest 51, 2 guests 189, and 6 guests 25.
Let me summarize it a little bit differently from what the folks just said. 239 people said 0 guests. 362 said 1 or more. 311 said 2 or more. And so, you know, the thing that kind of points me towards...
Joe, how do you get that number out of 500 responses?
Because there's 15 people that did nothing, that said nothing. They just turned it in and they
You
didn't have
got
anything.
50, you got 500 responses, and 250 of them said, that's half. That's bad.
So you look at the list, they gave all the numbers. 239 said 0. And if you add up everybody who wanted 1 or more, except for the 15 who just filled their thing out and had no preference, 1, 2, 3, or anything, they just filled it out, left it blank. So those don't count. 362 selected 1 or more. 311 did 2 or more.
That's 600 respondents. You told me you only had 500.
No, that's not.
Let's clarify.
Math doesn't add up.
Stop.
Let me do it for you. The people that wanted 1 or more, the people that wanted 2 or more are 311. The people that wanted 1 are the difference between the 311 and the 362. You're not adding up 362 and 311. What you're adding up is all the people that wanted 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 10. You roll those all together, that's 362. If now you drop off the people that wanted 1, there's only, so there were 51 people that wanted 1. So you subtract 51 people from the 362 that wanted 1 or more, you get the 311 that wanted 2 or more. And that's how we get that. We don't add 362 plus 311. So that's how the numbers came up. But it goes more than this. We did a bunch of things that have been going on for 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is. John and Cindy went and talked to the club heads. They said they wanted 2. Then we had a town hall meeting, and we asked people to raise their hand. The overwhelming majority said 2. Now we have this, and again, the numbers come down to what we have. what we're saying here, this is not a gotcha thing. We're not trying to kill anybody. Those people that wanted the zero, I know where they're coming from. There are friends and neighbors, and really their problem is they felt they were overrun with guests and it's impacting their use of the amenities. I understand that. I sympathize with that. I'm sure the board does too. The ones that want many guests or more guests, they have outside friends, they have family. They want to enrich their enjoyment of their groups. And so I understand where they're coming from too. The concern I have is if you go to zero, it is to me, a devastating impact on the community. You cannot have this community function the way I think we want it to function if people aren't allowed in. We're not in prison here, and we should be open. As a matter of fact, we have a vision statement that we've been utilizing, which says, Four Seasons Beaumont is the most welcoming, over 55 community that feels like home and family. That's certainly not welcoming if we go to zero. But again, I understand where they're coming from. And the thing here we want to try to satisfy everybody. We want to do no harm. So understanding the people that want zero, how do we try to accommodate the people that want zero? Well, if you do the two, and what you do is you now implement a policy of controlling the people, the guests that come in here, and control them in a manner you can make it almost invisible to the people that want the zero. As long as it's not impacting them, as long as I control the people, then that's the thing that's the most important. Pickleball people, from what I saw, to me have a fantastic solution. The people come in, they come through the gate, you have their names at the gate, they are escorted up here, they are signed in by the people who are sponsoring them, they put the wristbands on them, they go and they play, and then when they're done, they're gone. We should be able to do that with all the groups, and so you should not have people walking around and doing things that are in this community that are not members of this community. So to me,
So I'd like to point out there's another component of this. We also asked them whether or not they wanted those guests to be here weekly, monthly, quarterly, and the majority there said monthly.
Let me comment on that. And again, I'm just making my comments. To try to implement a policy where you try to gauge, they come in once a week or once a month or once every 3 months, it's insanity. You're never going to do it. It's an impossible thing to try to track and to monitor all those people. If you were here a week and 3 days ago, well, you can't come in until 2 more weeks. You can't do this.
No, I'm just trying to point out all the different individual things that came in from this study. I'm not making a judgment on it. I'm just saying, per this, the people that wanted either weekly or monthly were 42 and 90 of those 189. So, we do have that component of what people had indicated they were interested in.
Understand, and it can be done, except I think to try to do it is going to put a huge burden and a huge cost on the management company and the community to try to implement such a thing. I could be wrong, but as I look at it, I go, you can't track that. You can't follow that. I understand you'd like to do that, but you just can't.
Do we still have a motion on the floor?
No.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'd like to modify my motion since we didn't get a vote, actually. I'd like to modify the motion to have 2 guests per household. And to let the clubs and the groups regulate themselves.
That's allowed to be 2 guests per household for both clubs or groups.
Clubs, groups, and classes.
The only comment I have before I second that is we want to make sure that at no time do you have, because somebody can bring in two guests and you end up in a club or a group having far more guests than you have residents. So I want to make sure you do not exceed the number of residents. Other than that, I second the motion.
Further discussion?
I would like to say something. I've been here for 11 years, and come into the community quite a bit, come into the clubhouse quite a bit. And I see Domino's enjoying their time. I see the pool players enjoying their time. I see a lot of these clubs and groups really enjoying what they do here. And I don't believe there's a board member up here that's arrogant enough to tell people how they're going to enjoy this community. I think the clubs themselves know what they want for their clubs and groups. I think that if clubs and groups don't like what's going on in their club and group, they'll get rid of their quote management of the club and group and get somebody in who will do for them what they want. In interviewing all the clubs and the groups, we didn't have one group that said we've ever had a gas problem. Not one. I think some of this gas stuff has been manufactured. I don't believe that there are issues, because I think if there were issues, they would come from the clubs and groups. The members of the clubs and the groups would come to us and say, we have a problem within our group. We've only had one club or group that's really ever had a problem and we dealt with it. And until we have these problems with the clubs and the groups, I don't think we ought to be telling clubs and groups how to have fun.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the basically two guests per homeowner, per club, group, and class? Yeah, two per household. Two per household. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So,
Julian is aye for or aye against?
there are two
Well,
opposed, two in favor.
I don't have a problem with two guests. I do have a problem that we have a majority of people that are concerned about how often those guests are allowed. I think the perception here, and I get concerned about the perception, is that people that are sitting in their house have a perception that there's not enough room for them to cope to some of these kinds of activities. And I want that perception to change. I want people to feel like they're welcome wherever they want to go because they live in here. So I'm a little concerned that if we don't set some kind of parameter about how often those can go to a club, might cause some problems with the overcrowding or the not being able for the homeowner to be involved.
Okay, but I don't think a board should ever vote on perception.
I don't either.
Because we've always been told by every seminar that we went to, if you vote on perception, you're a dead board. Because people will create perception within the community that doesn't exist. And if you keep voting on perception, then you might as well just walk away from the board.
Well, I didn't say I'm voting on perception. I said I was concerned that that perception is out there.
Well,
So what I'm saying is I would like to include maybe a parameter that says that they can have two guests monthly or two guests weekly or whatever, but some kind of an idea of what we're allowing.
So we have two.
the problem is, how do you enforce it? There's just no way of enforcing it, is the problem. I mean, we're going to spend an incredible amount of money trying to enforce something we can't enforce.
There's hundreds of laws on every city, county, government
What do we do with a two and two?
in this country that are a law that don't get enforced routinely every day. But if somebody does something that they shouldn't be doing against that law, then that law can be enforced. I'm not saying we're going to go around enforcing it all the time. I'm just concerned that sounded weird, I'm sorry. I'm just concerned that we say that, if we tell the clubs what we think that how we want them to operate. They can still govern themselves.
2-2.
Okay. In looking at the data that was written, comments, it's obvious that some of the people were confusing guests in toto with guests for clubs and groups. I think that once K-Hope leaves, the perception that we have that there's too many people who don't belong here will change because the gates will be closed and locked. The other thing I think is that whatever decision we make here is easily changed next year after we experience what it's like to have a closed community and better control. And I will vote in favor of the 2 guests, and so it passes 3-2.
Thank you.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Well, no. The other item on unfinished business was the pickleball tournament.
Yes, I want to respond to the discussion on the pickleball. When we approved the pickleball tournament, we were heavily involved in looking at groups and clubs and tournaments. Our perception was that the pickleball tournament would be similar to the tennis tournament we had earlier, that we were looking at reciprocal tournaments between 55 plus HOAs, and we passed it on that manner. Subsequent to that, I received, as was noted, a single email with a copy of the flyer that was sent out. The flyer said that it was open to the public, which startled me. I worked for the government for 2 years as an inspector general. And one of the things I know is that whenever we went out on an inspection, the first thing we did was look to see if there were any whistleblowers. Because whistleblowers led us immediately to, it's kind of like, this is where the fish are biting. You're going to find something. And if that whistleblower had alerted his leader, commander, president, or whatever, and no action had been taken, it was a serious, and it was true, then it was a serious violation doubly for having done it and for not having responded to a whistleblower. I researched the fact of what was going on and realized that whether or not intended by this whistleblower, we were jeopardizing our status as a nonprofit organization by inviting the public to come in and use our facilities for any reason whatsoever. So I called a meeting with the pickleball and the tennis club and with Jerry and John and Eric and Sapphire, and we sat down and I said, we can't go forward with it the way you've done it. You're going to have to make a change. First thing is you have to withdraw, which you really can't, but you have to stop sending out a flyer saying it's open to the public. Because if the public comes in here, it jeopardizes our status, and we charge them to use our facilities that were part of a nonprofit. That the legal problems we run into will be jeopardizing our status as a nonprofit. And my responsibility as a board president is to never let that be jeopardized. Now, it's true that you can find lawyers and accountants that'll go left. If you want to go right, they'll go right. You can find them from all over. The point is, you jeopardize a status unnecessarily. So I propose to the pickleball leadership that instead of making it open to the public, you make it an invitational tournament and you invite members of the other 55 plus HOAs in the area to participate. That would not open it to the public, and it would ensure that all of the people who came in and played here were 55 plus, because previously they had other people come in who were younger than that. I then asked Eric to identify all of the local 55 plus HOAs. The next day, he provided a list of 12 and gave them to the leadership of the pickleball club and said, here's the contacts, please contact them. It doesn't take much to make a phone call, it doesn't take much to make a flyer. And within 24 hours, I know I could have gotten a flyer out to all 12 of them. And I said, if those HOAs want to come in here and play in a tournament, that would be acceptable. The other thing I told them is, any money that comes in because of the tournament that is not used to cover the cost of the tournament, which in this case were medals and ribbons for the participants, cannot be used by the club for anything else. It has to go to charity. That's because you're a nonprofit. You say that you need to buy additional equipment. We buy ping pong balls. We buy all sorts of equipment for our clubs. And I told them, if you need equipment for your club, I will sponsor it through the finance committee and the HOA so we get that equipment. Well, I would do everything to avoid having our facilities used by the public and jeopardizing our status as a nonprofit organization. And as far as I'm concerned, that's far more important for the 3,700 people who don't play pickleball than the 100 who do. And that's, the responsibility of the board president. And that's what I have said. And I think that's the same model that I would expect all the other clubs to be doing too, rather than opening up their facilities to the general public and publicizing, for heaven's sakes. So that's why I made that decision. I didn't cancel it. I said, stop advertising it. You can go ahead and keep planning it, but just don't open it to the public. And don't plan on that money that's in excess. It will have to go to charity, and I recommended that it go to the local Beaumont police for their dog fund. Keep it local. So that's the status, as I see it.
Are you going to tell the other groups that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
Or
it.
you can tell the other groups.
You can tell the other groups
You can
that?
tell the other groups that too.
Did I tell who?
Are you going to tell the other groups the same thing?
Yes. That
What else, Rob?
I have a question. I have a question for one of the pickleball people who's in the know. By implementing this particular policy, can you still go on with your function?
No.
No. Why not? You canceled it. So what are we discussing?
Future.
Really, is how do we,
If we were,
how do we make sure that the acceptable people are coming in?
As I said before, the way you're bringing people in is great. I mean, you really control them. But am I understanding correctly that right now, if we were to vote, let's say to put the status back where it was before, when we first voted on it, do you still continue with your function right now, or is it still dead?
Well, it's just, you mean,
If we were to
when I got the letter to cancel the tournament on August 21st, it said cancel it, take posting down.
it didn't say cancel.
I have,
It said
yes.
cease and desist.
Your previously approved
So the fact that you were now given new restrictions,
Every
okay?
single person that had already registered didn't qualify under the new restrictions. I had to call them all. None of them lived in HOA communities.
So again, my question is, if you did not have these restrictions, and we said right now, you do not have restrictions, everything is wide open, what would happen to the function that you're planning right now? Does it stay or does it go away?
I don't think I have time to go back and try to start over.
So it's dead no matter what we do?
Right. We only want to do 2 a year, one in the spring, one in the fall, and so this was going to be our fall, but it's too late now.
So we're discussing policy for the future, not policy to try to reinvigorate the present.
Yeah, it's a little too late now.
It's too late, okay.
Yeah, and I really did only receive, I think there was only 6 or 7 HOA communities, not that, I don't understand the law of why other people can come in and use our facilities, just not the pickleball court. It has to be certain.
And that shouldn't be the case. What's good for one should be good for all. So really, as far as taking care of things right now, that's not an issue. We're talking about making a decision here which is going to affect not only pickleball but everybody into the future. Is that?
Yes.
That's
yes,
okay. So you can't reinvigorate what you're doing right now.
We're going to have it in, we're going to have it in-house.
Okay, but you can't do it outside.
We're going to do that. We have time to plan that with other people here. Our
Okay,
members,
and I guess.
we're going forward. We're kind of looking for the spring.
Okay, and I guess the other comment I have, and Len and I have, and Jolene have discussed this for a number of other issues as well in terms of what makes us a tax exempt or a nonprofit organization. As far as I know, if you collect monies from this, even though the monies comes from the outside, if you take those monies in and you utilize those monies within your club and within your function, I don't think there's a problem. But again, from what I understand, that should not be a tax problem. That should not be a situation where we're not I shouldn't say charitable organization, but a non-taxable organization. So I could be wrong, and maybe the thing we need to do is to talk to somebody, because everything, all my experiences has told me, as long as you collect those monies and do things within the organization for them, and you don't give those monies to use those monies as profit, and you utilize them within your particular function, your particular community, then it's okay. But again, I would think we would want to look at that a little bit more, because I got questions with that. Sure.
We can't have outside guests come to the tournament, then we cannot have garage sales, we cannot have a boutique show. You gotta have it consistent.
And yeah, and that's something we need to look at.
The concern is about making funds off of that tournament. Yes, we have a garage sale that we allow people into the community, but the HOA is not making money off that garage sale. And the same with the boutique. The individuals are making money, but the HOA is not making money off of that.
I understand that, I'm just saying, let's have a public come in and be advertised.
Well, and that's not the only concern about public coming in. That's not the main concern. I mean, it's one of the concerns, yes, but it's not all of it.
I think this is the last year you'll see us open up the community for the garage sales also. That everybody who's moving in will have been here, and so if we have annual or semi-annual garage sales in the future, it will not be open to the public. That's something that's going to occur. It's hard for us who's been here for 10, 12 years to grasp what it means to have almost 4,000 people living here. But we just can't be opening up the doors for events and inviting the public to come in.
And I gotta say that I've been to both of the pickleball tournaments, and they are incredibly run well. The policies and procedures that they have actually put into effect should actually be adopted by this association for every tournament that comes into this community. They're very, very, very well done, very well thought out, and complete. And it's really nice to see them.
I think the perception is when you say a tournament, we're getting thousands of people. We're limited to
50.
maybe 100 people. Half of those people are residents. So our last tournament, we had 60 people from the outside. And we only advertised on the Pickleball website. We didn't advertise it over. And the perception is we're having all these people on. Maybe we had 60 people, and that's the most we can have, because we only have 6 courts.
So
We're done. This is just a discussion. We're done. This is a discussion.
Well, I think one place we are going, you now plan on having one in the spring.
You'd like to?
Yes. I think you're going to have to kind of follow what we think is the proper way to do it, which is to make an invitational tournament and identify the people or the organizations you want to invite and invite them as opposed to opening it to the public. I mean, you have the names of the people.
It's not that I don't have the names of the HOA communities that you identified as acceptable people to invite. That's not the problem. I'd love to invite all those people. In fact, I'll save that list and I will send out a special invitation to those people.
Okay.
But I think what you don't understand, it's not about the people that I'll invite them, they're invited. It's the people we're excluding. If I can only invite people from 55 plus HOA communities, that means...
No, I think to go back to what I said to you at the meeting, I said, go to the HOA community first, and then if you don't have enough, we will consider the others. Because I told you that at the end of the meeting. And you said you would do that, but you didn't do it, did you? You have no time to do it,
It
right?
sounded exclusive to me. I can't invite, we have people who live here, residents who live here.
Yes.
My 80-year-old dad likes to play pickleball. I would love to have him come play with me in a tournament. He lives on 3 acres up in Hesperia, so he wouldn't be invited.
Invite him.
I can't, he doesn't live in an HOA community. I can't do that. I can only invite people on the list that Eric gave me.
You went to all of the HOAs that Eric gave you a list of?
So it's residents first, then HOAs, then if there's any room left over, we can invite people like Marty's boyfriend or my dad. Only then. No, I can't invite guests. I can only invite people from HOA communities.
This is going to be a tough thing to try to implement also. I think we need to think about it a little more as to what makes sense, because it sounds like we've got lots of different levels of things, and I'm not sure how we got to handle that. So I think we need to look at this a little bit more before we are.
The thing about the pickleball tournament website, it's where pickleball players, we all go there. We go there and we find out about tournaments in our area. We have attended those tournaments. We meet people, and then they invite people from all over, invite us to their communities, their community centers. The Beaumont City firefighters play here in Beaumont community center, they would be invited first anyways. Well, they're probably not 55, so they probably can't come anyway. But that's what I'm saying, it's not, it's silly to be that exclusive unless there's some law. I mean, we can make it free, or we could make it, whatever you think we should do to not violate the nonprofit, because I certainly don't want to violate that.
Is it possible to advertise for an invitational tournament?
It's an invitation, you're invited. And the only way they can register is if they come through me. My email address was the only thing on the flyer or the advertisement or the posting. I spoke personally to every single person, and I kept a list so that when it got to the point where it was full, people went on a waiting list. It just seems exclusive.
What's the difference if they live in a 55 and over community, or if they don't? I mean, why are we focusing on the 55 and over HOA communities only? Why? I just don't know why.
Let me ask you, can you advertise for 55 and older people just to come to the tournament?
Pardon me?
Is it possible to advertise on the Pickleball website?
I can send you parameters.
No, let me finish. For a 55 and older invitational.
Yeah, I can make it 65, 75.
Well, then you can't play.
That's right, you're gonna.
Try that over one year, right?
You don't know. You told you not to.
Table it for further discussion. This should be another time.
Yeah, and I guess moving forward, you should have some ground rules to move on, even for next spring, unless, we have this discussion again and maybe try to give them something more definitive.
That's what I was hoping today, that we would kind of figure out what you want to do going forward.
I make a motion we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, we adjourn. All in favor? Aye.